Hey everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're finding me for the very first time, please click that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you also get all the notifications about when I put up new content here on my channel. So I wanted to do a video that discusses where the future of Star Wars is going and what they have planned going forward, and all the movies and TV shows, everything included. I kind of ran over a little bit in my my video that included the announcement of Star Wars Celebration returning in 2022, but I thought I'd do another video here just discussing where the franchise is as a whole and where they plan on going here within the next few years. So let's take a look at my hard drive over here and all the stuff that they have coming up here for the Lucasfilm franchise here. Obviously, I mean, they jump all over the timeline here, so let's kind of just start here with the Acolyte. It is going to be a series that is focused at the end of the High Republic era, some years before, about 50 years before the Phantom Menace takes place, and is going to be revolving around a female Sith. And obviously, we're hopefully going to get a little bit more of a backstory of some of the Sith lore. Obviously, we know some things throughout the films and the franchise here, but this is the first actual TV show that is focused on a Sith character. Obviously, you know, the entire series is focused on Darth Vader for the most part and Anakin Skywalker, but there's a lot of things about the Sith lore and their teachings and things like that that we don't know of. That are just shrouded in darkness and mystery, as it were. So we're going to be getting a series about that. Not a whole lot is known about the Acolyte outside of that. Obviously Kathleen Kennedy is spearheading this one, so we'll see how it goes. But I like the premise. And the mystery surrounding it intrigues me. Hopefully we'll get some more news about it at Star Wars Celebration. And of course we have the prequel trilogy here, and of course the Clone Wars series, which I have been recommending to people for years now. It really, fleshes out the prequel trilogy and makes everything make a lot more sense, and everything just flows a lot better in the story. So definitely, I know it's animated. People want to say, oh, it's a cartoon, I'm not going to watch it. But hey, this cartoon is well done. It's not just for kids. There's a lot of dark elements, especially when it comes to, the Sith and things that Palpatine was doing during this time period and things like that. So, and obviously people who, still think that Darth Maul died in episode 1. This series right here explains how Darth Maul survived and why he showed up in later content. So if those of you who are, confused, definitely check out the Clone Wars. And of course, there's some characters here that show up later down the line in seasons of The Mandalorian and other shows too. So if you want any backstory about all that, definitely check out Star Wars The Clone Wars. You can find it on Disney+. However, I will say this, on Disney+, it is not in chronological order. It is in release order. So if you want to know the proper chronological order to watch The Clone Wars, I recommend a Google search. StarWars.com also has a chronological order of how to watch that series. And then, of course, we had episode 3, and the finale of the Clone Wars, ties right into the episode 3 film here, Revenge of the Sith. The ending runs concurrently to that film, so that is an interesting new thing that they've brought to the franchise as well. And then, of course, we get the current running series that is on Disney Plus right now, that has been out for now about 5 weeks, going into its 6th episode here, and that is Star Wars: The Bad Batch. It is a group of clones that have gotten through Order 66, and of course now have to learn to live in the new Imperial era, with Chancellor Palpatine obviously taking over as new emperor of the galaxy. And these clone troopers obviously are bred for certain skills. They each have their own set of skills. They're almost like the A-Team in the Star Wars universe. So it's a cool little series, and I'm intrigued to where they're going to be taking some of the characters, especially the young mysterious Kaminoan clone named Omega. We're going to find out where she falls into the grand scheme of things in this series as well. It takes place immediately after Revenge of the Sith. And of course, we get Star Wars story with Solo here. Alden Ehrenreich and Donald Glover play young Han Solo and young Lando, respectively. And obviously, this is a highly underrated film. Had it not come out a few weeks after Avengers Infinity War, I think it probably would have done much better at the box office. And there are a lot of fans online who still want to see a sequel to Solo, a Star Wars story. So here's hoping we'll get that. And here's the thing. I kind of feel like, even though we don't know a whole lot about this series right here, Lando, it has been announced by Lucasfilm. It could take place who knows where, but my hunch is that this Lando series is going to pick up after Solo, a Star Wars story. Again, again, this is not confirmed. It's all my speculation at this point. But it wouldn't make much sense for Billy D. Williams, I think, to come back and do a whole series himself. I mean, this could very well be the, series with Lando and that one lady from episode 9 wanting to find out where she come from. So maybe that's what this is about, and maybe it takes place after episode 9. But I got a feeling Lando takes place after Solo, and it involves Donald Glover's Lando most likely coming back. And maybe you get, some voiceover work or something from Billy D as well. But it makes more sense to me to have a series with Donald Glover reprising his role as the young Lando. And maybe we find out how, he came to be the head honcho, so to speak, over Cloud City on Bespin, and maybe we'll get, hopefully, some cameos from, Alden Ehrenreich as young Han Solo, and maybe we'll get a little bit into Crimson Dawn, and where Kira is involved with Darth Maul, and hopefully, maybe we'll get another series where it's kind of a pseudo-solo, a Star Wars story sequel, so maybe we'll get that in TV, because the Boba Fett show was originally supposed to be a movie, so Solo 2 could actually be made up into a series here, and that's how they continue it moving forward, because the series has been a great success on Disney Plus. Speaking of great successes on Disney Plus, I believe this series right here is going to be the tentpole for Star Wars moving forward outside of The Mandalorian, and that is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know it's going to be a limited series. I believe they said it was 6 episodes. I could be wrong on that. But Ewan McGregor returns as Obi-Wan Kenobi from the prequels, as well as Hayden Christensen returns as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader in this series. And I believe this series is going to heavily focus on the line from Return of the Jedi when Luke is talking to Vader before he's taken to the Emperor, and how he's tried to turn Vader back to the light side, and Vader says, Obi-Wan once thought as you do. You don't know the power of the dark side. So I think this is going to tell us when Obi-Wan thought as Luke did and thought that he could turn Vader back to the light. And I think we're going to get yet another epic clash between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader before Obi-Wan's fateful meeting with him in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And, of course, that does not break canon for all of you canon junkies out there. In Star Wars A New Hope, Vader said, it's a presence I've not felt since... And then he walks off. Does not say when the last time he felt his presence. And this takes place roughly, 9 years before Episode 4. So that's still long enough time for that to happen. There's no breaking of the canon here. Don't need to worry about that. So this could very well make a lot of sense. Obviously, then after that, we get Star Wars Rebels, which is a sequel series pretty much to Star Wars The Clone Wars, but at the same time, it's a prequel to the original trilogy as well. It starts to show where the rebellion began to form, and of course, we get our introduction to Grand Admiral Thrawn from the Thrawn novels back in the early 90s, I believe it was. So we get him introduced into canon here, and he's going to be playing a much bigger role in future series as well, I believe, coming up. Definitely a great series. Check it out. It's not just for kids as well. There's a lot of deep Jedi lore and things like that is explored after most of the Jedi have been extinct. And of course, like I said, the building of the rebellion, where they finally start to gain resolve against the Empire and start to build, moving into Star Wars Episode 4. So definitely check that out. And speaking of building the rebellion, Andor is a series that is currently being developed at Lucasfilm. It stars Diego Luna, who is coming back from Rogue One, a Star Wars story. We're going to get a bit of a prequel here about his character, Cassian Andor. And hopefully in Season 2 or beyond, we'll get the introduction of K2SO as well, who they've now said is not in Season 1, so it'll just be about Cassian. But we're probably going to dive into a little bit more of the darker side of things that he had to endure as a spy for the rebellion and things like that, and maybe some of the dirtier missions he had to go on here, because obviously in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, he's been through the ringer, and he's been in this fight since he was 6 years old, he said. So, and of course that will lead into Rogue One, a Star Wars story that we saw with Jyn Erso, and of course the taking of the Death Star plans, and that leads directly into Episode 4. So then we get the original trilogy. You can see now where they're starting to tie in all of the loose ends and things like that were never quite given time to explore during the movies and other series. So I really like that Star Wars does this thing where they go back and fill in all the gaps. And of course, 5 years after the fall of the Empire and Return of the Jedi, we pick up what I believe is one of the best series Disney Plus has in general, let alone in Star Wars. The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, their brainchild, mostly Favreau, but Filoni definitely helps out on this as well with writing and directing, all that stuff too. Din Djarin and little baby Grogu. They obviously, this is all centered around them. And of course, season 2 I felt was better than season 1 as a whole. And then we get a lot of introductions of characters like Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano, and all this stuff from the Clone Wars series being brought into live action. So the animated shows count in canon, and they all intertwine with the live action shows as well. And we get a lot of stuff about that, as well as we find out in Mandalorian Season 2 that Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi. So he's not dead, ladies and gentlemen. He did survive after 30-some years. We finally got the answer, and Boba Fett survived, and now he is getting his own TV series that was teased at the end of Mandalorian Season 2, and is called The Book of Boba Fett. He has now taken over the throne that was once held by Jabba and then Ben Fortuna after him. And now Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, played by Ming-Na Wen, and obviously Boba Fett, played by Tamara Morrison, who played all the clones in the episodes 2 and 3. So, he's back to return as the old clone, Boba Fett here. And I can't wait to see this movie. This series was originally scheduled to be a movie, but after the disappointment that was a Star Wars story, they decided to make it a TV series. So that explains what happened here. But all these shows here are going to tie in together and lead to a crossover event, which I believe will be the Thrawn, their version of the Thrawn books, or the Thrawn trilogy that they want to tell here in live action, because as Mandalorian Season 2, Ahsoka is looking for Thrawn, and of course Ezra, because at the end of Rebels, Ezra and Thrawn went into the unknown regions. Ezra took Thrawn out of there to explain why he was not around during the original trilogy, and they're lost. And of course, I'm sure Thrawn is going to become a major threat to all the characters in these intertwining series here on Disney Plus. And of course, that's going to lead into Ahsoka. She's getting her own series that is spinning off The Mandalorian, starring Rosario Dawson, who did a tremendous job playing Ahsoka here. So I look forward to that. And Dave Filoni is in the process of writing that series right now. Now, Rangers of the New Republic is another show that's supposed to be, intertwining with these shows here as well, leading to that crossover. However, we got some news recently that Rangers of the New Republic possibly could be canceled. They said it is currently not in active development, but that does not necessarily mean it is canceled. It could just mean that it's not being worked on right now, and they're putting priority on Boba Fett, Mandalorian, and Ahsoka. That could be the case too, but it could also mean that Rangers of the Republic could very well be canceled after the release of Gina Carano, who played Cara Dune. This series was supposed to heavily involve her character as the lead, but I still think if you don't want to have Cara Dune in this series anymore after they fired her, you could still center this series around Hera Syndulla, which is the Twi'lek character who was one of the main cast in Star Wars Rebels. You can bring her into live action, and we know from other canon material that she survived beyond the time of Return of the Jedi, even fought in the Battle of Endor. So I say, she's probably with the New Republic now. Why not just center it around her character, and you can still do this show? I don't think the show needs to be scrapped completely, because you're supposed to be bringing Bill Burr's character, as well as some other characters from The Mandalorian will probably intertwine with that as well. So I think it's a missed opportunity if you completely get rid of that show altogether. Then, of course, what is it? I don't know, some 25 years later, then we have the sequel trilogy. And Star Wars Resistance was a small animated show that intertwined between 7 and 8 a little bit as well. It's not listed here because it's just a couple seasons, and it intertwined so much that there's no sense of putting it on the main page here. But the sequel trilogy, obviously, J.J. Abrams recently come out and said there was no plan, and that kind of aggravates me. But on the whole, I think the sequel trilogy is okay. There's a lot of people, you got to remember, did not care for the prequel trilogy when they came out as well, and now a lot of people feel the same way about the sequel trilogy. But I think given time, I think a lot of people may come around with the sequel trilogy, and hopefully it will, at least be accepted by the fan base at some point, because there's a lot of good things in these movies, but there's definitely some flaws that they have as well. No movie is perfect, unfortunately, but anyway, obviously the saga that ends with the Rise of Skywalker, some might feel like it's on a little bit of a flat note at the end, but I think even though they didn't have a plan, they tried to do the best they could with it. So I will give them credit for that, at least anyway. So we'll see where they go, and if they do anything beyond this point in the timeline, or if they will continue to do things, in between the known canon, and hopefully after, episode 9, maybe they'll jump many, 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 many years into the future and do things after that. That would be a cool thing to do. And of course, you had the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, which is way better than the original Holiday Special that came out back in the day, which I believe aired on television only one time. So definitely check that out. It is aired on Disney Plus as well, and it takes place after episode 9. But it's not technically canon, I'm sure. But it is kind of a fun watch because it kind of has a little bit of nostalgia. It goes through the entire history of the franchise, so it's a little bit of a fun watch, especially around the holidays. And of course, we have some movie announcements. We have some release dates in 2023, 2025, and 2027 in December of those respective years. And of course, you know, the first film that is going to be coming is Rogue Squadron. It is going to be directed by Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984 director Patty Jenkins. So we'll see exactly where this lands in the timeline. It could be after episode 9, or it could be placed anywhere else in the timeline. We don't know at this point, but it's basically going to be a fighter pilot film here, and I think it could be a lot of fun. You know, Rogue Squadron books and novels and video games and stuff are widely popular, so I think it could be really well done. And of course, we're going to be getting a Taika Waititi film that is untitled at this point that has been announced. But of course, they've announced movies from Rian Johnson, and Kevin Feige was supposed to be working on one. So we don't know exactly what all their plans are on the film front right now. We just know we have 3 release dates in the coming years here. So we'll see what they do. Taika Waititi, obviously known for directing Thor Ragnarok and the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder. And of course, he also directed an episode or 2 of The Mandalorian. So he's, already, dipped his toe in the water when it comes to Star Wars. So he has been doing that as well. And of course, some other series that they've announced is a Droid Story that is going to be centered on C-3PO and R2-D2 and some of their adventures, as well as Star Wars Visions, which is an anime anthology collection. I believe we'll be turning some of the classic Star Wars stories into anime tales, but it could be new stories as well. But from what I understand, it's just going to be anime versions of the stories we already know. So that just about does it. And of course, there's some ancillary stuff like the Ewok movies and stuff in my hard drive as well. But that just about will cover the future of Star Wars as we know it right now. And hopefully we'll be able to get some more info on that at Star Wars Celebration in 2022 when we all get back together for the celebration that comes out. I can't wait to learn more, and hopefully by then we'll have some of this content on Disney Plus within the next year, and we'll have more room to announce new material and hopefully find out some secrets about like the Acolyte or Andor or Lando and maybe even Rogue Squadron, some of the stuff that we don't know about. Some of the other series we know more about, but those were a little bit shrouded in mystery at this point. But the real question is here, guys, what do you guys think about the future of Star Wars? Does it look bright to you, or are you just really soured on the fact that Disney, in your mind, may have ruined Star Wars with the sequel trilogy? I have a lot of hope for it, though. I'm a Star Wars fan, a bit like that ever since I was a kid in the early 1980s, so I think I will always be a Star Wars fan no matter what they do, and I'm very excited for the Mandalorian and stuff they're doing with that on Disney Plus. But comment down below, let me know what you guys think, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when I put up new content here on my channel. And until my next video, guys, take care.
We about to turn it